On Q2, shots fired in downtown Billings.
Outside my window, I heard yelling and screaming.
This time, a man with a machete causes a ruckus near First Interstate Bank. We'll have the details. Plus, visitors are back in Yellowstone, and the concern over interactions with wildlife continues this season.
With the inebriated man kicking a bison, I'm still floored. I didn't have that on my bingo card at any point, any year.
An intoxicated man injured after harassing a bison. And Lily Gladstone will soon be heading back to her alma mater. We'll have the details and tell you who will be joining her. The MTN 430 News starts right now. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us on this Tuesday. I'm Andrea Lutz. Tonight, we start with shots fired in downtown Billings and police responding frantically to a man armed with a machete. It all happened just outside the First Interstate Bank, where police say they had to use force as the man was threatening people nearby. Our Haley Monaco picks up our coverage from the scene.
Tuesday afternoon, a man was shot by a Billings police officer after police received a call of a man with a machete in a busy area of downtown Billings.
Dude, I think all Billings cops are here.
This is witness video from inside the First Interstate Tower. You can see the man standing on the sidewalk of the west side of the 400 block of North 31st Street, quickly looking at police surrounding him. This was after police received calls of a man waving a machete at bystanders. Back to the video, you now see the man fall to the ground after being tased. Officers quickly surrounded him. We have chosen to freeze the video here because of its graphic nature. Next, you can hear what sounds like 5 gunshots from close range.
They attempted to negotiate with that male. There was no progress. They attempted less lethal, it sounds like, in the form of a taser, which was not effective. And at some point during their altercation with him and trying to take him into custody, one officer fired one of their service weapons, struck the subject.
We picked the video back up after the shots were fired. The man was taken to a local hospital where he was pronounced dead a short time later.
Outside my window, I heard yelling and screaming.
Bailey Volgamore and Kim Van Pelt work in a nearby business and witnessed the entire situation, starting with their security guard speaking with the man to him being tased.
But they went to go get him, and you can just kind of see him roll and reach to his side. And when he did that, it looked like he went to go grab it, and then that's when they shot him. I don't think I've ever witnessed anything like that, and a little kind of like shocking and shaky feeling.
Police have not released any details of the man's identity. A press conference is scheduled for sometime tomorrow. In Billings, Haley Monaco, MTN News.
A major escalation in the protest at Columbia University, where demonstrators against the violence in Gaza break into a building on campus. Tensions are also rising at other campuses where police have pepper sprayed protesters. Michael George has the latest.
A banner reading "Free Palestine" now hangs from a window at Columbia University's Hamilton Hall. After university leaders say demonstrators against Israel's war in Gaza broke into the building using hammers overnight.
There's no business as usual during a genocide, and I'm very proud of my fellow students.
The takeover came hours after a deadline for the protesters to clear their encampment that some argue has created a hostile environment.
The rhetoric that's led to harassment and anti-Semitic tropes has gone unchecked.
On Tuesday, the school issued a stay-away notice for members of staff, telling them to avoid the Morningside campus. The administration here at Columbia is now threatening to expel student protesters who occupied the administration building. And they say seniors who participated in the encampment will be ineligible to graduate. Early Tuesday, authorities were seen forcefully removing protesters at the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. School leaders called the demonstrators outside activists. On Monday, officers clashed with people who tried to pitch tents on the campus of Tulane University. Efforts to break up an encampment at UT Austin turned violent, with police deploying pepper spray and detaining 79 people.
Palestine will never die!
Despite the crackdowns, campus demonstrations continue to expand at Texas State University and the University of Washington.
It doesn't seem to me that they're calling for peace. It seems like they're calling for more violence.
Protesters are demanding the schools cut ties with Israel, arguing the humanitarian crisis in Gaza is an issue they can no longer ignore. Michael George, CBS News, New York.
As Donald Trump's hush money trial continues, the former president is held in contempt of court and fined $9,000 for violating his gag order. The judge even suggesting fines might not be enough and jail may be necessary. Trump has since removed social media and campaign website posts violating the gag order. And today, prosecutors called Keith Davidson to the stand, the former lawyer for Stormy Daniels and Karen McDougal. Daniels claimed she had a sexual encounter with Trump, while McDougal claims she and Trump had a 10-month-long affair. Trump has denied those allegations. Yellowstone National Park has seen its first wildlife injury of the year when an intoxicated Idaho man harassed and kicked a bison. Unfortunately, these incidents are far from rare inside of the park. Tonight, our Kelsey Boggs takes us back in time looking at some of the wildlife conflicts over the years.
It's that time of the year when tourists flock to Yellowstone National Park, taking in the breathtaking views. But many tend to forget safety tips when viewing the wildlife, with some Facebook users calling these visitors Taurons, or tourist morons.
Our nation's beauty, protected and preserved in our national parks.
Luckily, we managed to see the wolves.
Yellowstone National Park is a bucket list stop for many.
We'd been to Fishing Bridge because we'd seen a grizzly the day before. So we thought, oh, we'll go and try and see if we can see the grizzly again. And luckily we did.
Philippa Osborne has traveled from the UK to Yellowstone twice, with her most recent trip last October. She knows to be respectful while visiting.
Well, we're in somebody else's country, so we've got to respect their rules and their laws.
But others seem to have missed the memo. Osborne captured this photo of a group of tourists getting too close for comfort to a herd of elk.
We took the photos of the Taurons, as they call it.
Taurons, a nickname often used in the Facebook group Yellowstone National Park, Invasion of the Idiots, a combination of tourists and morons.
If you can see on my photo, there's like a fallen log, and they were sat on the log taking selfies like this.
Just follow the rules. They're handed out in 15 different languages when you enter the park.
The group was started in 2016 by Jen Minyard to share laughs and spread awareness.
There's that saying about leave only footprints, and that's what we should be doing in the park. Don't get featured on my page.
Just this month, on April 21st, an intoxicated Idaho man kicked a bison and in return received minor injuries and jail time.
With the inebriated man kicking a bison, I'm still floored. I didn't have that on my bingo card at any point, any year.
It's the first bison tourist injury of the season at Yellowstone. According to the National Park Service, the last reported incident was in 2023, and 3 occurred before that in 2022.
They were about 10 yards from the bison, and I actually have a clip of my buddy screaming at them.
Raleigh Plunkett witnessed Taurons getting too close to bison 2 years ago.
25 yards!
We ended up just yelling at them to get out of the road. They're going to get gored.
Posts like these serve as a humorous reminder to respect the park and its wildlife.
Treat the wildlife with respect, and also try to respect your fellow tourists. Try to be a good custodian and guardian of the park.
In other words, don't be a Tauron. In Billings, Kelsey Boggs, MTN News.
The cooler temperatures that came along with the wind today want to stick around. Now, the good news is the wind starts to leave and those temperatures will stay below the seasonal averages, at least for the short term. And they're going to bring some area showers in. That could mean some snow, or even a little bit of snow mixed in with the rain showers for the lower elevations in the mornings. Certainly some mountain snow or a rumble of thunder to go along with it. But just in time for the weekend, looks like those temperatures are going to warm up, especially by Sunday when we can hit some highs in the low 70s. We'll break down the forecast coming up.
Oscar nominee and University of Montana alum Lily Gladstone will be the keynote speaker for UM's spring commencement on May 11th. The university will host 2 on-campus ceremonies at the Adams Center. Gladstone will speak at the 9 a.m. ceremony. She won a Golden Globe and is an Academy Award nominee for her role in Killers of the Flower Moon. The other keynote speaker is Carol Tatsy Murray, who will speak at the 2 p.m. ceremony. She's a renowned educator, tribal elder, and former college president working to protect and enhance Blackfeet culture. Every 10 years, citizens have the opportunity to review local government in Montana, including here in Billings and Yellowstone County. Voters will decide if they prefer a commission to oversee the local government and if any changes need to be made. Since 1972, the Montana Constitution has required this vote every decade. And the last time voters wanted a commission in Billings was 1994. They say yes again, a commission will be formed and voters will have the chance to approve any recommendations they come up with. Tonight, a presentation will be held with several local officials, including county commissioners, city council members, and a former mayor will be there. They'll be asked about the strengths and weaknesses of local government and the potential benefits and drawbacks of establishing a commission.
Citizens are participating rather than leaving it just to the elected officials. The point of it is to allow citizens the opportunity to change their government if they want to, if they don't feel it's serving them, because really government is intended to serve the people. They can weigh in and try and say, hey, let's change this.
The Yellowstone Valley Citizens Council is hosting that panel discussion tonight at the Billings Public Library. It starts at 6 o'clock. This year's Vigilante Day Parade kicks off on Friday, May 3rd. It's in Helena, but this year's celebration a little more special as the event turns a century old. And over the years, the parade has drawn some of Montana's biggest names. MTN's John Riley takes a trip down memory lane for one of the longest running parades in the entire United States.
From political leaders to newscast anchors, there have been an impressive amount of Vigilante Day Parade alumni who have gone on to make great impacts, both in Montana and beyond. Those who have participated in the parade over the past century all have similar stories of fond memories spent with friends like Helena Taproom owner and 24th Governor of Montana, Steve Bullock.
I think back to 40 years ago when I graduated, and it was such a magical time. I mean, we took writing reports seriously. You'd have the smart people writing the reports. You'd have the folks that knew how to do construction working, take 2 full days off, build incredible floats, and just it was a celebration for us of community, but also tied into the history of our state.
A number of Montana's elected leaders participated in the parade, like current Secretary of State Christy Jacobson.
Vigilante Day Parade is just a huge tradition. So when I was a freshman at Capitol High School, I rode my horse in the parade, and I have a picture here with me and my best friend Darcy riding in the parade. And then when I was a sophomore and a junior in high school, I was a cadet, so I marched and performed in the parade with the marching band. And then my senior year, I actually built a float and participated that way.
For both Jacobson and Bullock, it was special to see their kids participate in the same tradition when they reached high school.
Yeah, just a great tradition. I was in the parade, and then to have our kids be in the parade and watch when they were growing up, it's a special day.
It was so fun listening to them get ready to do the float and actually seeing them coming down Last Chance Gulch, thinking that those were the same steps, many of the same experiences that I had years before.
The parade, by its nature, connects generations. Such was the case with MTN anchor Tim McGonigal.
I had a friend who, her dad had an old fire truck, and our float that year was the 1932 Helena High football championship team. It was a fun float because, I mean, the fire truck made the whole thing, and then we found some old clothes, and there were always a lot of good floats. There was always some float that someone really, really went like full bore on, and it was like, okay, that one's gonna win.
Montana Legislature Representative Gary Perry was one of those students who aimed high when participating.
We went down to Bozeman and actually got the plans of the stagecoaches that were used on the Bozeman Trail. It was fun. I mean, you spent the week doing it, you had a great time with your friends, and you had an opportunity to look into doing things that were part of the history of Montana.
In Helena, John Riley, MTN News.
Still to come on the MTN 430 News on Q2, the man behind the magic. We'll go behind the scenes of the Special Olympics, introducing you to a longtime volunteer who makes it possible. But first, it was a windy day out there. What are those winds pushing in? Ed will have the answer and let us know right after this.